Hi, it's Rachel again, and I'm back for another video. Let's see, it's Friday, and I don't know what to say. I do this all the time. I've got my coffee in the Beth Twist mug. Um, let's see, what have I been doing? Been busy. This has been a busy week. Last week, not so busy, a little choppy, and beginning of the week I wasn't feeling too hot, so 2 weeks ago I just felt like I was coming down with something, and I had a choppy week with running kids places and having to go get their Easter stuff and just doing all the things. A couple days I had to take a nap and lay down. I was just feeling like crud. I don't know if I ever came down with anything. I had that feeling of like the body aches and sore throat and feeling like I'm getting something, but it never totally hit. But I wasn't feeling great. So then I had to do the Easter prep and, buy the food and the basket stuff and run the kids around. So was last weekend Easter? Time is just not, I don't know. I'm losing track of time. I guess last weekend was Easter. Yeah. Let's see. So last Saturday, I was going to do a Facebook Live sort of test run for my stitching with the housecoats. I was going to go into YouTube and schedule it. And of course I didn't, because I was busy. And so right before I was going to do it, I went onto YouTube, and because I've never shot a live video, they sort of have to like approve it. And it said, oh, it can take 24 hours until you can shoot your first live video. So I was like, oh crud. It was like 10 minutes to 8, and I was going to do it at 8 o'clock. I had posted on Instagram. I was like, hey, informal, let's test this. I've never done a live. I had to get on Instagram real quick and say, okay, I'm doing Instagram live because I can't get on YouTube. So I did Instagram, and man, it was a cluster. I'm kind of glad I did a test run, because I did get a lot of people that hopped on. I think I saw that like 260 some people hopped on. So that's pretty good. The night before Easter, my husband and Bellany, my oldest, they had gone to a concert in Kentucky. So I only had 2 people in the house that I had to kind of keep quiet. 2 of them were gone. They came back on Easter at like dinner time. I wore my pajamas. I did the Instagram live. I started it, and I don't know, I was a few minutes into it, and Carol, sorry, I got to repeat the story. And I start getting this whir, 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 and it said, it was Carol Saltbox video calling me on Instagram, which she and I chat, but we don't video chat. So I was like, what the heck? So I answered the call, and it was funny. She hit a wrong button or something. I don't know how it works. So I didn't know if I was going to, I thought, is Carol going to come in on video and be on the live? Or she had hit a wrong button. She looked shocked shocked to see me answer. She's like, oh, and I was like, oh. So I talked to her for a second. She had been trying to get on the live, and it hit a wrong button or whatever. So it had kind of paused the live Instagram feed. And when I came back, it was super staticky, crackly. You couldn't hear my voice. I couldn't hear that when I was filming it. So I had to stop it, jump out, tell everybody to come back on. Instagram records it, and so I had put it on my Instagram page afterwards, and I think I left it a little less than 24 hours. That crackling was awful, and you couldn't even really hear me say to hop off and hop back on. So it was fun. Carol Saltbox did get on, and she was very funny, talking about her peignoir that she wants to wear for stitching with the stitching in our housecoats. And I showed some stuff that I had thought of starting for Easter weekend, and It was very fun. It was good to have that. Well, let me go back. I had posted the recorded Instagram on my page, but I've deleted it because it was kind of a little messy. It's, not worth saving. So a few people watched it afterwards, but it's no longer there. But I'm glad I did it. And it was a lot of fun. I think we talked for a little over an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes. So, yeah. And then with my kids, my son he had not watched Mandalorian yet. And we all love Star Wars. I loved it when I was a kid. And my middle daughter was really into Star Wars for a while when she was little. Really into it. So we would go and see all the, the new versions and different storylines and things. And so we've been watching that, and it's actually been very good. My Natalia, who's into Star Wars, she says Mandalorian she thinks is one of her favorite Star Wars characters, of all characters. So, yeah, so I've been watching that. Sorry, Brenda. But yeah, so we did that. Afterwards, we started it, and we watched a little bit on Easter. I did get some stitching time in on Easter. And then this week has been busy. So I will go into shop updates and talk a little bit about stitching in our housecoats. Okay, so you're going to want to listen to this if you're a customer or a future customer, near future customer. Okay, so my 40 count orders have kind of been on hold. I have some 40 count colors, but not all. My most popular colors are Dirty Teacup, Thornfield, Brea, a lot of the light neutrals. I don't have any of those. So, beginning of the week on Instagram, I had posted that the distributors had gotten some 40 count and it was on order. My last video, I had also said I had standing orders with ones that just kind of hold on to it. When it comes in, they send it. They put stuff on back order. The distributor that I placed an order with that got it, it was gone within 24 hours. It showed up on Wednesday. I got 5 yards. That's all they sent. That's all they had. That's the bad side. The good side is I was yesterday just charged from another distributor that I have an order for 60 yards in. That something's coming. I don't know what's coming. I don't know how much I'll get, but the charge was big enough that I think it might be a decent amount of yardage. I don't think it's shipped yet. They usually charge and then they ship like a couple days later. So I'm assuming I will have that by midweek next week. So here's how this is going to go. What I'm going to do is, like the 5 yards that I've had, I've started dyeing. All my orders are in order of date. Because I can't fill all the 40 count in all the colors, I'm going to have to triage it, and it's going to be filled based on the most orders I can fill with the colors I'm dyeing. Starting with the oldest, which I can tell you right now is probably going to be a lot of Thornfield, because I have a lot of orders waiting for Thornfield. I have a lot of orders waiting for Brea. So basically I'm going to go through and do some of the colors that'll fill the most orders. I think that's the fairest way to do it. I am running a good 8, 9, 10 weeks out right now on some orders, not on all. I sent some stuff out on Wednesday. Last night I was doing postage till like 10 o'clock at night. There's some orders that are only 3 weeks that are going out because it's all about the count and the color that you order and what my supply is. When people message me, like, you know, where's my order in the count or whatever. One thing I have to say that I'm going to have to remind everybody about is you may have a really old order, but you're definitely not the only one. I get lots of orders every day. So let's say you had an order February 5th, February 3rd, I don't know, a really old order, one of these real old ones that I have sitting here. You're not the only one waiting. And so as I fill this stuff, you may be waiting on, I don't know, 40 count Eastwick. That may not be a color that I'm able to dye with the new stuff coming in, if it doesn't serve a lot of orders. Does this, I hope I'm making sense. So basically I'm updating on Instagram. I'm going to try and keep this short because I have a lot to show you. I'm updating on Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, I really suggest you get on Instagram. I'm going to go into this a little bit. I know there's a lot of stitchers that are on Facebook and in a lot of the stitching groups. I am also in those stitching groups. I don't love Facebook quite as much. I don't like it. I don't like all of the ads that come through. I don't like all the junk. I just don't love Facebook. So I'm still on it. It's a way I get information, like from my kids' school when we have snow days and different things like that. I'm in a lot of the cross stitching groups. You know, there's exclusives in some of those groups and some great stuff. As a stitcher, if you're not on Instagram, it's just crazy, right? It's crazy to not be on Instagram if you're a stitcher. Now, Instagram is not a good format if you only use a computer. So if you're somebody that just gets on Facebook and you use a computer and you don't have a smartphone or you don't have a tablet, then Instagram is obviously not an option. You can get on Instagram on a computer, but you know, it's that cell phone format. So it's just, it doesn't read well on computers. It's an app. So, but I know most people, I think, are using tablets or smartphones. Instagram is great because you get a lot of the same interaction that you get on Facebook, but it is so photo heavy, and that's kind of, as stitchers, what you want to see, right? Examples of stitching. You don't have to post, and you can heavily interact with other stitchers by commenting on their stuff. I also feel like there's a lot more positivity on Instagram. I see a lot of, not a lot, but I see a little bit more complaining and dinging on those Facebook groups. Not all groups. Some of the groups have some phenomenal moderators that really keep things sweet and nice and pleasant. And most stitchers are, but you know, with Facebook, if you're in the groups, you get a lot of people with questions, and you get that on Instagram too, but you can't post those questions without a photo. So, you know, you can post, like on my Instagram, I give a lot of updates. So I have to use an app and type my words into a photo to be able to post that update. I mean, you could take a picture of your big toe and write an update if you want, but Instagram is photo heavy and it's just fantastic. It kind of crosses over like a Pinterest. You can save, which I have a lot of stuff saved on Instagram. You can see a post and save it. So if you see a stitcher stitching, I don't know, a piece in a colorway that you really like that's different from what's charted, you can save that photo and then go into your saved photos and sort of have like a curated feed or reference for, you know, people post their sampler walls, people post all kinds of stuff. And that is where I communicate the most. So if you're a customer, and I can usually tell when I get emails from customers that either watch YouTube and have ordered just through this format and have not, they're not on Instagram, or people that have ordered and don't follow any of my social media and just have no, they don't know what's, you know, they're asking questions that I have posted on Instagram and answered, which is fine. You can email me any question you want anytime. So Instagram is a very good way, especially for my linens, to get a lot of information. I will post when I have sent to shops. I will post things like this 40 count linen shortage. I posted that I was getting some It's only 5 yards, but I think I have more coming in the next few days. So really, I encourage you to get on Instagram. I don't know what the hesitation is about Instagram, but I almost guarantee, that you might transition to using a lot more Instagram than Facebook. And there's a lot of people on Facebook that are also very active on Instagram equally. So you see them interacting in these Facebook cross-stitch groups. They also interact heavily on Instagram. And then of course there's people that kind of only do Facebook and only do Instagram, but that's just my soapbox. As a stitcher, I highly suggest getting on Instagram. You get a lot less ads. There's a lot less junk. People will post questions and things that they need help with, but it's always accompanied by a photo. It's not as wordy, right? It's visual. It's fantastic for a stitcher. And you also get, which you can do on Facebook too, but I think it's used a lot more on Instagram. Like I said, I did a live. There's a lot of YouTube people that will do lives and go on there. If you watch like Lisa Kindred Stitcher, she does fantastic YouTube videos, but she's very heavy on Instagram, and she does a lot of live stories and videos, and you don't always see that content in her YouTube channel. And so she does, she will just film like stash that she's gotten in the mail, things she's doing in the yard, rearranging pictures on a wall. A lot of that content you don't get on her YouTube, right? So it's kind of like, it's nice because some of the YouTube channel, Flosstube channels that you may watch, you're getting extra content on Instagram, extra video, extra time. It really is a good format to be on. So that's my opinion. And that's where I communicate a lot. So if you're wondering what's going on, always check my Instagram page. You can email too, but check the Instagram page. Okay, on the note of being far behind, some of my older orders, and I did a couple last night, I am going to go through, and if I have a large chunk, I might send some partial orders out. You're always welcome to email me and see if you can change your count. Like if you're waiting on a 40 count dirty teacup, I can do 36, I can do 46. I have enough base fabric for that. I have a lot of 28 count orders that are older that are waiting, which will be filled this weekend. So if you were heavy on the 28 count, not all, because I am waiting. Saturday, I'm getting a linen shipment, and I've got a lot of 28 in there. So this week I'm going to be doing a lot of dyeing. I think that's it. I don't know. Yesterday I spent a lot of time calling around. I don't know if I should go into this because I have a lot to go over. Trying to get some linens, I get a lot of questions about comparisons, and some other dyers, and I'm talking like the big dyers, like Lakeside, Picture This Plus, Weeks Dye Works. I have certain colors of those dyers that I have stitched on, but my repertoire is not huge. So I get a lot of customers that ask questions asking for alternatives to certain dyers, particularly Lakeside. Do you have a color similar to this? I don't always know. I may know the color, but I may not have seen it in person or stitched on it. So yesterday I ordered a lot of linen from a lot of places. And I was calling all these little shops to even get if you have a little snippet. I just need a small chunk. It doesn't have to be enough to stitch on. So I am getting some snippets of Lakeside in colors that I have not stitched on, so that I can just see when someone says, I had a question, I don't know if I answered it. So if you watch this and you're the one that answered or sent me an email, I don't think I answered it. I've missed quite a few emails. They've just been coming in like crazy. I think someone had asked if I had a alternative to Vintage Tundra by Lakeside. And Vintage Tundra is not one I've stitched on. And from my research, it varies a little. It's kind of grayish, I do have a piece of Vintage Tundra now that I actually got from 1884 Stitchery. And I have another piece coming. It seems like that color may not have been super consistent. I'm not sure. My instinct was Steinbeck would be the closest, but again, I'm going to have to, and I may go over that in a video. Once I kind of have some more samples, I may give you alternatives if you're looking for the big dyers. But talking to a lot of these, and these are not the big shop owners that everybody talks about, it wasn't the Attic, it wasn't a hobby house, it wasn't, Dying to Stitch. It wasn't the big sort of shops that a lot of floss tubers talk about. These are little tiny shops. They're great places to, if you do a good internet search, there are a lot of shops that have no internet presence that are just little hole in the walls. There's a lot of them that have been in business for 30 plus years with more seasoned shop owners. And those sometimes are the gold mines. Those are the ones where you can really find out of print charts, because if they don't have an online presence, if they don't have an online store, if they don't post on social media, all of their business is people walking in the door. And there's only so many stitchers in the area, right? Almost every shop does mail order. A lot of times those shops that aren't heavy on the internet and social media, they're gold mines because they a lot of times have out of print charts, linens that everybody's looking for, they have stock on. And so that's kind of what I was doing, is calling some of these sort of, not all, there was a couple I called that people that I've seen floss tubers mention, but not the big ones. Looking for, do you by any chance have this in this color or that in that color? And years ago, I haven't done it in a long time, but even years ago, I would do that sometimes with the blackbirds that were out of print and call some sort of out of the way, hey, do you have this? And I got a few out of print blackbirds just by doing that. There's a lot of shops also that are sort of combo shops. Maybe they sell yarn or quilting or framing. They have a small amount of cross stitch, but a lot of times their inventory is, it sits there until it sells, and they will have old stuff. So I was talking to a lot of shop owners yesterday. And of course we were talking about linen because I was looking for linen. And one shop owner in particular made me feel so much better about my wait time. I mean, just, the linen shortage is a serious issue. Now, I don't know if I realized this. I know that Lakeside, and I'm just telling you what I hear from people, and I'm not going to compare myself to other dyers. I try not to pay attention to what other dyers are doing because I want things to be my own. Of course, every dyer, small or big, whether you're Needle and Flax or Weeks Dye Works, we all have similar colors, right? There's every dyer has a parchment type color. Every dyer has a straw type color. Every dyer we all have sort of similar colors. Now, the way it feels, the way it looks, they can slightly differ. But there's alternative, there's only so many colors you can do. So, one of the shop owners, she was very chatty and very nice and helped me a lot. But we all know Lakeside has like a 12-month, basically a year-long wait. It's very desirable. Lakeside, okay, I'll talk about what I think are the top three. The three biggest dyers would be Lakeside, Weeks, and Picture This Plus. And then it kind of goes, there's medium-sized dyers, and then there's people like me that are just smaller, newer, getting into it dyers. They're having a lot, not only are they bogged down by demand, but they also are having some of these issues. Some of the big dyers actually have accounts with Zweigart. They are some of the ones that hold the wholesale licenses with Zweigart, and they get it directly from Zweigart. I have to get it from a distributor because all those wholesale accounts are taken up in the United States. They have had issues with not getting, they're not getting what they order. They're not getting enough. They are getting, this shop that I talks to Picture This Plus regularly. And she gets it directly from Zweigart, and it got stuck on one of those boats waiting to be offloaded, and when she got it, it was moldy. There's just a lot of things going on that's putting a real wrench in the works. Picture This Plus also, and I think they have it on their website, has a 10 to 12 month wait for linens. They only sell to shops, not directly to customers. Picture This Plus used to do, I think it was Picture This Plus, like once or twice a year they kind of opened where they'd have like a weekend or a few days where you could order directly from them, and it was like a madhouse getting in there and ordering fabric. And it was dyed to order. It wasn't stuff that was in stock. But even back then, before the demand was high, you were waiting a long time for it. It kind of made me feel better about my couple month wait. It's not a year. I mean, I'm not as big as those people, but I think just about every dyer is having, there's just issues. It's totally beyond my control. But I just want to let you know, I'm working as hard as I can. I appreciate everybody's patience. I'm not taking my linen money and running off to Mexico. I'm very visible. You see me. I update my Instagram. I'm working on it. So you will get it. When you order from me, you will get the linen. I can't really give you an exact time frame. I think I have on the website right now 8 weeks. It's approximate. I do get people that say today is week number 8. It's approximate. If you've been waiting one of those, you know that if you've been waiting 8 weeks, you know you're at the top of the list. You are close, right? I don't know what to say. Okay, just for an example, I had placed an order with a shop for Picture This Plus vellum with my birthday money. I contacted them a while ago. Am I still on the list? Because I hadn't really heard anything. Am I still on the list? I'm still on the list. It wasn't this birthday, it was last March. So I've been waiting for my fat half of Picture This Plus vellum for over a year. And this is a good shop. This is a shop that is very prompt. I'm still on the list and I don't have it yet. So I'm with you. I know what it's like. I don't know if I'll ever see. I'm sure I'll see it at some point, but no, don't have it yet. So it's just the way it is. And I think that we all just have to, realize when you're ordering, there's gonna be a wait. If you don't want to wait, try and contact the shop. I'm also trying to get a lot of shop orders too. And that also kind of, takes time away from my customer orders. There are times where I have to set aside a couple of days to get some of these shop orders out, which also serves the customers to get those out. And so that I'm not working on customer orders for a few days. And, there's just a lot. Like right now I have an exclusive that I'm doing linen for that's at the end of summer. I can't say anything. Can't tell you the designer, can't tell you anything, but I am doing one of the big exclusives on one of the Facebook groups. And right now the first order is for 90 yards of linen. And I'm actually halfway done with that. But I have a few of those, and that takes time. It takes time, and I don't know what else to say other than there's a wait. You will see there's a couple of floss tubers that have been waiting just like everyone else. Brenda, Laura, and Carol have orders waiting. Carol has 2 orders. Carol's soapbox has 2 orders waiting. She's probably going to get a partial in the next couple days. Brenda and Laura's will go out. They're both waiting on Thornfield, and they're in my older piles. So they've been waiting a couple months. So when you see them, don't think that they jumped in line, because they didn't. They've been waiting just like everyone else. So anyway, that's that. Oh, okay. See, now I'm already at like 30 minutes, and all I've done is babble because I have a lot of good stuff to show. Stitching in the housecoats, again, go on Instagram. I'm going to do it Saturday the 30th. It will be on YouTube live, and I'm doing 7 o'clock Eastern time. If you haven't done a live, basically you're going to see me and you can interact by typing. I won't be able to see you in your housecoat. I talked on the Instagram live I did last week. At some point, I will probably do this regularly, sort of like a pajama party. And we will do lives every so often where we can throw on our housecoat and get cozy and stitch and not interact, or sit there and type and interact. But I think at some point I'm maybe going to do some giveaways, do some random Zooms where we can stitch in our housecoats and see each other. It has to be a smaller group. I just can't do a Zoom with like 300 people. So maybe every so often that'll be sort of a giveaway for those of you that have housecoats, and we can do some Zooms and kind of do a few of them so different people get a chance, and that way we can see each other in our cool retro housecoats. You don't have to have a housecoat. You can wear a robe, a duster, a peignoir, Carol. She's going to get real fancy. I got to see this photo. If you are doing it and you have a housecoat, take a picture of your housecoat or take a picture of yourself in it. You don't have to take a picture of yourself, but use the hashtag stitching in our housecoats on Instagram. You can also email me a photo if you're not on Instagram, needleandplaques@gmail.com. And I think I'm going to do maybe a couple of prizes for some of my favorites and do some giveaways for the favorite photos of housecoats that you guys have. So, yeah, I think that covers it. That was really long updating, because now I'm at 30 minutes and I haven't shown any stitching. If you didn't like it, you could fast forward. My coffee's already getting cold. Okay. This is kind of a shop, kind of a show. I got a couple more patterns that use needle and flax for called for linen. I did get in my Kathy Barrick spring pin drum patterns, and I do have all the threads and the finishing stuff now. I can't promise a day, but in the next few days, I'm going to try and get those uploaded. And I do have, it's stitched on 36 count Steinbeck, so I do have some of that linen. So I will have some of those kits. These couple that I have here, I'm going to post the charts, but I don't have kits yet. Partially because, okay, so this is Kathy Barrick, Parliament of Owls. This is one of her Barrick releases, and she did it on Thornfield. 40 count Thornfield. I can't get that. But I will have the charts if you want to throw a chart on. I don't know if I'm ever going to really do these kits. I may only offer it with the, on this pattern. This is her Collective Noun series. Kathy mostly uses NPI. I'm not sure. I can kit it if you request it. I'm not sure if I'm going to do thread packs for these. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see. Definitely the charts will be available this weekend. And at some point, you may already have Thornfield in whatever count you prefer. So anyway, yeah. Party of Peacocks. That one is also on Thornfield. I believe she said when she was showing this in Hello from Liz Matthews, they did a market preview right before market. I think she said she's going to do the whole series on Thornfield. So if you like the series and you like Kathy Barrick, that might be a good, you know, order a huge chunk, and then you'll have Thornfield to do the whole series, because they're pretty small. A couple of new releases from Wendy from the Heart Needle Art. These are fantastic. These will be kitted. The first one is an original anniversary sampler. I think she did a great job on this. This is called Token of Love. And that's an original design. It is so pretty. And I just got, now she calls for Gloriana. Gloriana is another one, in addition to fabrics. There's some threads that are very hard to get right now and have long waits, and Gloriana is one of them. I have an order in for it, but who knows? I mean, I have an order for Gloriana Silks with one of the distributors that I placed in November, and I still don't have, so. But she also has a Weeks Dye Works conversion, and I just got the Weeks Dye Works for this yesterday. And she stitched this one on Newport Beach. I think she used 40 count. So I may do some kits with 36. But of course you can order your linen separate. You can just order the chart and get your own linen. Something you have from your stash, or you know, order some Newport Beach or whatever count you'd like to stitch on. So that is that. Again, at minimum, I'll have the charts and possibly the thread pack for that over the weekend. Okay, so this one, the Green Pear Band Sampler. This is a reproduction. Now, this is, it's an adapted Spanish band sampler. She did this is one thing I love about her. She will do, my glasses are always crooked on here. Whatever. She a lot of times will do like the big reproduction, and then she will do additional companion pieces, and she doesn't always use the same linen. So like the big one, Xavier Hearn, it's a Spanish sampler. I don't remember the color, but she did the big one on Fox and Rabbit linen and the band sampler on my linen on Steinbeck, which is kind of fun, right? Because you could get a big piece of Fox and Rabbit and do both and know it'll work. You get a big piece of Needle and Flax and do both and know it'll, you know, I don't know. I think it's a cool way to show that you don't have to always, what in the world? This is driving me nuts. You don't always have to, I don't know. There's options with these samplers and the colors, and they don't always have to be the same. So this one, okay, so this one she had charted in Gloriana, and she has a DMC conversion on her Instagram. Again, I don't know if you, she may have posted this on her website or somewhere else. She had people asking for a over-dyed conversion, which she did, and I ordered those threads this morning. So I will have over-dyed thread packs for this. And I know one of her local shops, and I can't remember, I just got an email yesterday, they're doing a stitch along to this, and so they ordered some Steinbeck for their stitch along. It's a shop in Idaho, Crisscross, I can't remember, Crisscross something. Anyway, I'll tell you when I know more about it. So those are some newer charts that use Needle and Flax linen. And like I said, I have all these charts in stock. I just don't necessarily have the kits. You'll have to go on the website and look. needleandflax.com. Okay, now we're going to get to some fun stuff. And I really, I shouldn't be doing this video. I've got so much to do. Okay. I will show, shoot, hang on a second. Hold on just 1 minute. Okay. Now I'm back. And I got to warm up with my coffee while I paused it. I might have to do that a couple times. Not the warm up, but the pausing. Okay, so Ellen Chester is a designer, and she does reproductions, and she has, again, she's very active on the Facebook groups, but she's very active on her Instagram. She has a beautiful Instagram. She's one of those stitchers that's very active in both platforms. But she had ordered some linen, and so she got her linen, I don't know, it was probably a couple weeks ago now. I'm losing all track of time. And that nice woman sent me a few of her charts. And I do have a couple of her charts, and she sent me ones that I don't have. So I thought I would show you those because they're gorgeous. She does some original stuff too, but she's very into, I think she calls herself a purist. She's very much a purist reproduction sampler stitcher. And she does not stitch, you know, she doesn't really, I mean, she may have, but she doesn't really like stitch Plum Street or even sampler style. She loves the historical reproduction samplers, and she's got great taste in them. She and I share a lot of the same tastes in samplers and have stitched she has one of the most amazing sampler walls ever. You've just got to go check her out. So she is with my needle. And this, I don't get a lot of like happy mail, I have to say. I've gotten a few pieces from some stitching friends on Instagram, but I really don't get, people aren't sending me stuff. So when this came in the mail, it was like the nicest. I mean, who doesn't love getting stuff in the mail? It's great when you get stuff that you ordered in the mail, but a little surprise like this, oh my gosh, it just made my day. And when I have gotten them from my couple of stitchy friends, and you guys know who you are that have sent stuff, I think about it for days. I mean, it makes me happy for a long time. And then it's kind of nice too, because when you pull out the pattern or you go to work on something, or even if I show something on here that someone has gifted me, you kind of think of that person. It's so nice. Send somebody some stitching mail that you love, because it's just a great thing. So I was thrilled. I was like over the moon when I got these. And then of course I didn't thank her for a few days because I was so busy, but I don't always do everything on time. But I'm thanking you now, Ellen. I love it. So this is Caroline Bevan, 1845. Look how pretty is that? Beautiful. Beautiful. Ellen is also a stitcher that when she finishes something, she gets it framed like right away. And they're gorgeous. So she'll show her finish, and then usually within a couple weeks, you're seeing the framed piece. And oh, so pretty. Okay. This one is Hannah Cummins, 1828. I love this one. It's like she knows my style too, because she sent me ones that I would stitch all of this. Hannah Cummins, 1828. Look at these stags and that basket of flowers and the birds, and oh, it's gorgeous. Beautiful. Beautiful. This one, I find this one really interesting. This is Elizabeth Wood, 1832. She has it. Now, the original sampler is the shape that she has charted. I see frames like this. It's kind of an octagonal frame. You know, I'm a picker. I do barn sales. My barn sale shenanigans are going to be sort of tapered back now that I'm doing linen, but I'm still going to participate. I'm just going to have to find stuff for my barn sale that doesn't need work. I used to hand paint. I do hand lettering on signs, and I can paint folk art, and I would refurbish furniture and stuff, and I'm not going to have time for that. So I'm still doing my barn sales. But these kind of frames I do come across quite a bit, and I do have a pretty big collection of antique frames that I've either found in the garbage, thrift stores. I love auctions. Auctions are one of my favorite things, and I try to go to a few a summer. That I'm not giving up. That is just a blast. But I love antique frames, and you do see these quite a bit. So don't let the shape of this put you off, because you can find a frame or have it framed like this. But this is Elizabeth Wood, 1822. Look at how amazing that is. It's gorgeous. And you could actually frame it in a square frame. You would just have a lot of margins in this. But here on the back, that's the antique. So she really, I mean, it's charted. Elizabeth stitched this to fit in that frame, obviously. It's got a red house, you guys. It's beautiful. I love a good sampler that's kind of got a lot of stuff in it, not a lot of empty space. And then this one, I think she did these last year. I should have brought out my bowl. Before this was a trend on social media, putting samplers and stitch stuff on spools, I have had a lot of spools. I have a huge bowl of spools. They're all over my house, all over. So I've never had to like hunt for them. I, of course, as a picker, got them for a song. And I don't really buy them as much anymore. I have so many of them, all different sizes and shapes. So this is something that I could do right away and definitely have something to put it on. So Sampler Maker, this is an original. And look at that cute little design. And she's got her name on it, and you can wrap it on a spool and display it. Brenda was talking about on her last video, not having wall space and wanting to do smalls. Brenda, this kind of thing would be cool. I think Brenda's done some stuff on spools before, but you know, if you don't have a lot of wall space, this would be a really fun one to stitch. And I don't know, put your name on it. She also has, it looks like 3 versions that you can stitch, and she tells you how to measure it and get it on the spool and all that good stuff. So thank you, Ellen Chester, because Happy Meal is so good. Now I see why Flosstubers show it all the time. It's exciting. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of my, well, I'm only going to show you 2 pieces of haul, I think. On the live, I had mentioned that I had placed an order with a sampler in Canada, and she does reproduction samplers. I'm going to show you one that I got. I got a few, but just, you know, I ended up ordering a lot of American ones. Not on purpose, but I am going to do an American sampler video that kind of features all American samplers, ones that I would like to stitch, because I think I only have one that I've stitched. Amy Eliza Herbert might be the only American one I have. Maybe. So I'm going to save those charts from a sampler for my American sampler theme. But this one I have wanted for so long. This is right up there as I have to get it on my wall someday. And this is Frances Alice, 1792. This one's English. You guys are going to die. If you don't know this one, you're going to die. Okay. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, look at those people. Look at the girl in her dress. The brick townhouse. The people. I mean, you got Mary and Joseph. You have Adam, crazy Adam and Eve, because that little tree bush behind them is awesome. You got angels. One looks like a Dolly Parton angel. That basket of flowers. Now this basket of flowers is part freehand and part cross stitch. So a couple of the flowers, you know, are freehand stem stitch, and she gives you all the instructions and I mean, a little pond with swans in it. Oh, God, I love this. I love this one. I have loved this for so long. And I told you, I'm trying to collect all the charts that I've always really wanted and want to make sure that I have in my stash. Because you never know when something's going to go out of print, when a company will go out of business and has decided to not sell it or pass it on to somebody to continue with. We all know. I mean, how many people are looking for Anne Rayner? Enough said. Which is another one I gotta get on my wall. So I also had an order with 1884 Stitchery. I got a couple of Prairie Schoolers that I didn't have. She had some she still does have some Prairie Schoolers on cardstock. I got a couple of Kathy Barricks. I think a couple of them were out of print or are out of print. So I'll show those in other videos. But this one I got from her. It's a Canterbury Designs. It's Jane Woodward sampler. I love some of these old ones that I was stitching when these were released, but I was not doing samplers. So there's some of them I do have. I don't know why I had bought them. Some of them I've had for a long time, and some of them are just kind of new to me. So this is Canterbury Designs. I just love the colors and stuff on this. So that is fantastic. All right. So now I'll show you what I was stitching. Okay. And I showed some of this on my live. So the Monday before, 2 weeks ago, really, I did get my country sampler, Threads of History Club. This was the 4th one in last year's. 4th one? Yeah. Yeah. This was the last one in last year's club, so now they're starting a new club, which I'm pretty sure you can still join. I think this next year is Alma Allen. She's doing a tribute sampler for Barb, which is going to be fantastic, and that's going to be exclusive to Country Sampler. That alone is a reason for you to join the club. I think Scarlet House, Chessie and Me, and maybe another needlework press. I'm not sure. I think so. If you go on sgcountrysampler.com and click on Girl Clubs, you can see what they have for the threads of history. So I got Ellen Carr 1843. And I adore it. And I actually started it the night I got it in the mail. That's the great thing. You know, it's pricey to get kits, because not because they're pricey, but because you're getting all of the elements. You're getting the linen, the threads. Definitely at times when I've been on a budget, I haven't always joined the clubs, because a lot of times I have some of those threads and things in my stash. And why, you know, if you got limited funds, if you have linen and you may have part of the threads, really what you want is the chart. That's not the way they're sold. So I am, you know, I'm all about the kit. And the nice thing about having the kit is that if you really want to go for it, you don't have to hunt down the threads and get them. And the sampler, the Threads of History, to me is definitely worth it. This one kind of, I think I said in my live, there's something sort of, you know, it's kind of red, white, and blue, American patriotic-y about it. This one's kind of interesting. It's stitched on Weeks Dye Works, I think. Country Sampler did a conversion. It looks like when Needlework Press does release this to the public, they have a different color version, and this chart has both colorways. We were sent the more dull aged Country Sampler version, but she also has listed the colors that that Vicky did her model in, which are different. They're a little brighter. So I had to start that right away, and it's not very big at all. This actually, I might finish this year, and it's very fun. So this is what I have. Not a lot. I think it's like 8 by 8. I'm just finishing up the border. There's like a straight, you know, just a stitched border, and then this this little blue and red border. I might even do that kind of last. I'm really anxious to get down to the house and the big flowers. So that is very fun. Very fun. So then when I was doing the Instagram live, I was showing some possibles. I like to do those holiday starts. And I was showing some possibilities for stuff that I wanted to start. And what I started was Susan Rambo. This is one I have wanted on my wall for years and years and years and years and years, and just, I don't know, didn't start it. I think it was on the live. I think it was Penny had suggested. I wasn't sure what fabric to use, because I was like, I don't have any of my fabric, and I have like vintage country mocha and this and that, and I didn't have 40. I don't have any 40 count that I would want to start it on. So I think it was Penny had suggested Alcott, which I had in 36. I had some dyed. So that's what I started it in, and I never thought of it. It was a fantastic choice. I kind of wanted to stitch it on 40, but I'm okay with 36 too. So that border is super heavy, stitch heavy. So there's not a lot of I actually put some time into this, and there's not a ton of progress, because it's going to take a long time to stitch this one. So that's all I started. Those Tudor roses. This would kind of be a fun one. I think Brenda and Laura had said to go watch Christy Crosshatch Quilts, her latest video. I think Laura said it was, you know, award-winning. And I would agree. I've already watched it 3 times. Everything she showed was so inspirational. But she talked about doing like Lori Holt on her Consider the Lilies. She was kind of doing like a flower on the border every day and started chugging along and making progress. If you haven't watched that video, you've got to go watch it, because it is, oh, everything she showed was just like, I mean, it super puts you in the mood to stitch. Another video I watched, I was watching Country Stitchers just the other day, and they had mentioned their friend Karen Bug, and I can't remember her channel name. It might be, I don't remember. I think if you look on Flosstube for Karen Bug, Flosstube, Stitch and Bug, something like that, that she had done a tour of her stitched pieces in her house. And I watched it. Holy Moses. Holy Moses. You have got to go watch that video. I think it's like 2 videos ago. She's got Dutch Beauty. She's got Jane Tyndall. She's got some amazing samplers. She has a lot of Quakers, a lot of European samplers. She had a Rachel sampler I had no idea existed, which I'm going to order. It was a Quaker. She's got some beautiful stuff. I mean, a couple Scarlet letters. It's a great video, so go check her out. I don't know if I've been in the dark. She has a lot of followers, and I have never heard of her Flosstube, and I really enjoyed that episode. So go check it out if you want inspiration. Okay, so doing Susan Rambo, this is my theme. I'm already almost at an hour, so I hope I can get through this. I decided, because that border is really one of the main things that I love on that sampler. I also love the little duck. So I thought, why not pull some charts and starts where really the board, I mean, it's all about the border, right? Some people don't like stitching borders. Some people love it. Sometimes the border is what draws me in. And I'm going to show you one stitch piece that I've shown you all before, but I'm going to show you 2 of my antiques. Now, at some point, I do have quite a few antiques. They will be reproduced. Right now I'm spread too thin. This is not something I need to add to my repertoire at this moment. As soon as I have some help where I'm mostly doing the dyeing and not the packaging, I do plan on I'm never going to dye thread, and I am never going to do fabric of the month. What I have now is what I'm doing, but I probably will reproduce some of my antiques. I may even have, you know, my daughters are good with computers, and I think they'd even have fun charting it for me. So, at some point in the future, far future, hopefully you can stitch some of these. Sometimes, though, the border is what draws me in. It's always something different, but I love a good border. So, the first thing I'm going to show you is, well, I'll try the antiques first, and then I'm going to have to pause it and put these away so nothing happens to them. And it's going to be difficult. Okay, so this antique might be a little dark, but this border is really part of what drew me into this one. And I'm going to kind of, well, I'm trying to, it's got glass, so I'm trying to not have glare. See, I knew this one would be hard to see because, of course, antiques are a little faded, or mine are, because I don't have the big bucks for the super. Let's see if we can get in here. Look at that border. It's unreal. Unreal. Okay, then maybe that might be kind of good. So this one, at some point when I take it out of the glass, I will re-show this. But I love this one. I can't remember the girl's name. Elizabeth something. Elizabeth Coggle. She's very symmetrical in how she put her stuff in this sampler. This girl could have been an engineer. It's the placement of everything is very good. But the thing that really drew me into this one is absolutely that border. And I think it would be a phenomenal border to stitch. And I think it's very colorful. So that, I wish I could show it to you better, but now this one's going to be hard to show because it's large. And this one had been posted on Instagram as, oh, look at these great samplers that have been around. And I had commented that I had purchased it. And, you know, was asked if I would reproduce it. And at some point I will. And this one, it's huge. That's why I don't know. It's not in a frame. I don't know if I can get it all in. The border on this is killer. This I got on eBay. I actually got it for a song. I mean, it was not expensive. From an eBay seller that a lot of you probably have bought your antique samplers from, and I know a lot of people that reproduce samplers do buy from this eBay seller. She's been around for years. Okay, so this is, I can't remember the girl's name. Let's see, Sarah Ann Spencer. Now, I've got it on, it's fragile. So I'm gonna, it's huge. Okay, so this is the antique. Whew. What I'm gonna do is kind of fold it and show you sections of it. The edges of it are a little delicate, but sorry, I got it on the tissue paper. So it's mostly yellow and green. There is some pinks, sort of coral colors, not true pinks. It's English. Check out that border. I mean, oh boy. Okay. So there's quite a few things that drew me in on this sampler. We've got an Adam and Eve. God, this is hard. Right? You've got Solomon's Temple. All right, I'm gonna fold it again. And this down at the bottom, oh my gosh. Okay, so let's see. You've got this house. You've got these flowers. Look at the checkerboard bottom. I mean, you got little sheep. You've got all the stuff. I can't see what I'm doing. But look at this border. You've got birds, butterflies. Look at that bee skep. A bird on a house. 2 bee skeps with bees. Look at the checkerboard at the bottom. Just, ugh, that got me. So I think this will be, and this is, I don't think, well, let me see. I don't think it's only cross stitch and there's no over one. It's huge. This one I will probably, it will probably be one that I chart whenever I do, because I'd like to get it in a frame. It's got cherubs. Oh, it's just fantastic. I don't think there's any over one in this. I haven't really studied it in a while. Those little angels might be over one. Yeah, I guess the words are over one. Some of the words, not all. But it is amazing. It's amazing. So at some point, this and this amazing border could be yours. So let me show you. Maybe I can show you the back a little bit. And then I'm going to pause it and go put this away because I don't want anything to happen to it. So here's some of the colors. Colors on the back. There's a little bit more pink in it than. I love this sampler. This might be one of my favorites that I have. So one day you can stitch it. One day. Okay, so I'm going to pause this so I can put this away. Well, actually, no. I'm going to show you one more thing before I pause. The other thing that I grabbed off my wall that is a border that I loved, and I've shown this before, and it's Rachel Long. Again, I have it on glass. So, this is Rachel Long. I said before I love this because it's a Rachel sampler, and she also has a birth date that is a day off from mine. So, but this border was very fun to stitch. Very fun to stitch. I've seen borders like this before, but I wouldn't say it's a very commonly used border. A lot of the borders you see are that are very common would be like a strawberry border, which actually is my favorite. I talk a lot about the honeysuckle border, but a good strawberry border is just classic. And it's usually got red in it, so that border, that's a sampler with a really good border. What I'm going to do is pause it, fill up my coffee. I'll show you a few charts, and then we'll wrap it up. So hang on. Okay, so filled up my coffee again. Use the little girl's room. Okay, so what I'm going to show you, and I don't know if I'll show all of them because I've blabbed on too long again. They're not all reproduction samplers, just designers and samplers and things where I feel like the border is part of the award-winning part of the design. Okay, so a couple of things I have partially stitched that I'll show you. And we can't talk about borders without mentioning the queen bee of all borders in all the land. And that would be, I've shown this before, Rachel Howells. I mean, that border is everything. The rest of the design, the thing that makes this so fantastic is all of the elements of this design are fantastic. But that border is really what draws you in. And it's stitch heavy. It is actually very fun to stitch. There's a lot of it. I have not worked on mine in probably a year. Easy. And that's, I think I've shown you before, this is all I have done. And that is a must to get on my wall at some point. And it's a Rachel. So like I said, I'd love to have, it's so weird. I'd love to have a Rachel wall of samplers. Why not? 2 Rachels stitching the same thing, just a couple hundred years apart. Very fun. Okay, now another, I feel, designer that is amazing with borders is Stacy Nash. A lot of her borders are similar, but they're just gorgeous. And I'm also going to do a video on summer stitching. I started this at the very, very end of last summer. I wanted to do it for years, and I haven't really picked it back up. But I will be working on this summer. And it is Summer at Hollyberry Farm. And, you know, the house is a standout in this for sure. But the border is just gorgeous. Gorgeous. So I don't know what I'm stitching this on. I think this, shoot. I think this is one of my prototypes of Dirty Teacup. I'm almost positive. And it's a darker piece of Dirty Teacup for sure. But that's all I have. You know, the border's intense. It takes a long time to stitch all those little berries. And I'm not a nut about the back of my, work, but I'm pretty sure I carried, did I carry? I used to do the pin stitch on and now I've just had so little time to stitch that. Okay, I carried my threads within the cluster. But if your fabric is thick enough, I think that, you know, these berries are so, that's the back of my work. It's so intense that this is Dirty Teacup. It's just a real, you know what? This is Dirty Teacup that I let get a little too dark. And that's why I'm stitching on it. Yep, it is. It's from my early Dirty Teacup. So I started this last summer. And I will continue to work on it. So you won't see that in my summer parade because I will have just shown it. But that's part of my summer plans. She's got a lot, you know, all of her hollyberry ones. The Christmas one has that sort of like ferny stuff with it's not really like holly. It's kind of, they look like little fern pieces with berries. The Halloween one's fantastic. Her Cherry Hollow Farm border is kind of similar with some little juicier berries on it. This is another one that I think I've shown you I've been stitching. This will be a finish this year. It's a Stacy Nash. It's small. It's Butternut Tavern. And okay, so the yellow house is fantastic, and the horse and but that little like corner border there really gets me. And I think that's what sells me on this pattern. I love daisies. And it's kind of a daisy. Okay, in all the fall colors, which are so great. Those burnt oranges and, you know, very dark. I think if you're not an orange lover, this is not like a true orange, but they are kind of orangey. I'm doing that one on Dirty Teacup also. So she's one of the queens of borders, I think, and they're all original. It's funny because when I was going through my patterns and stuff, there's quite a few designers that do reproduction and stuff where definitely the border is not the stellar part of the sampler, and so that must not be what draws them into a sampler. A lot of times it's just the overall composition, but I wouldn't say any of them have you know, borders that really draw you in. It kind of surprised me when I was looking through my charts going, okay, what has these amazing borders? It kind of, you know, whatever. It surprised me because some of these designers have amazing charts, but it's not the border. So another one that's not a reproduction that I pulled out because I think Brenda said, watching Christy's video, it totally inspired her to start Consider the Lilies. And it kind of made me want to start it too. This could be now this is a long-term project. It's monstrous. When you see Christy's finished, you're like, oh my God, I gotta have that on my wall. And I think she took like a year and a half to get it done, maybe 2. I don't know. Since it was released, I think she started it when it was released. But those border flowers, and the reason I pulled this out is because she talked about getting a flower done a day and then just setting it aside to sort of get all these. And they're kind of like wilted daisies. So I don't know, Brenda, I could end up joining you on starting this. This is not something I would expect to get finished, but it would be nice to start it. I really like it. I like this one even better than Eye on the Sparrow, which is her first one that's very similar to this. There's something about this one that I like just a little better. They're both beautiful, and I think Christy said she's going to start His Eyes on the Sparrow. She's going to do both, and I could see if you had fun with that, you might want to do both. Some of these charts I may have shown you before. That's okay. So now I'm waiting. The distributors don't have the Fox and Rabbit, the new releases from Market. They had some phenomenal Market releases. I think they had 3 reproduction samplers. And I know they're just catching up from all their Market stuff. So the distributors don't have their charts yet. And since I didn't go to Market, I didn't get them. But I am getting all of their new charts. They have a great floss tube too. And great fabric. So this is an older one they have, Mahala Barber. And I love this border. I wouldn't say it's terribly consistent. And I think that's what's interesting about it. It's just, I think some people, you know, you got the pots of flowers, and then that's what creates the border going around her sampler. I think a lot of stitchers don't like the repetition in borders, and so sometimes this can be appealing because it's not repetitive. It's just part of the design. I think that's a very pretty sampler. Fox and Rabbit has some great reproductions. I mean, they really do. They don't have a huge catalog yet because they haven't been at it for too terribly long. I mean, when you compare to like a Scarlet Letter or something. But yeah, they've been producing some really pretty stuff. This one I think I showed on my Scarlet Letter. I have a couple Scarlet Letters here. This one, Polly Phillip. I mean, how fun would that be to stitch? Look at all those happy colors. The whole thing would be gorgeous to stitch, but that border. I just saw a post on Instagram last night or yesterday where somebody had watched my video and then wandered over to Scarlet Letter and ordered Eleanor Parr, which is a beautiful sampler. I don't have that one. It's kind of one of their newer ones, and it has got an amazing border. I think I commented that would have been good for this theme. Here's another Scarlet. Now, these are not all wow borders, but there's just something different about the border or something that draws me in. This is Rose Shenamon Mitchell, 1816. This is Scarlet Letter. It is a Scottish sampler. And I love that border. There's a lot of red in this. There's a lot, it's very symmetrical. Another little engineer. You know, the placement on here is it's just very clean. And I think that border with all those little red berries really adds to this piece. And Scottish samplers, I wouldn't say always have these intricate borders at all. You know, they're all about the letters and for the most part. This one, a lot of people are doing. This is Jane Atkinson. I just thought I'd show it because, again, this whole thing is really about that border. I mean, you know, the inside Adam and Eve, whatever. They got some odd bods. But it's all about these flowers on the border. And I can't imagine that you don't watch Carol Saltbox, but she has been working on it and has shown it. She doesn't, I don't think she works on it like constantly, but she's shown it on quite a few of her last videos. Okay, here's another Scarlet Letter. I don't know what I showed you of my Scarlet Letters and what I didn't. But this is Anne Smith, and I hope you can see this because the picture's really... Isn't that amazing? Look at that border with the birds and the different flowers and the colors. I love a cheery, happy scene. She is very much like Hands Across the Sea, that they are sort of brighter colors. Really tries to get it as close to what the girl stitched and pulls the colors off the back of the sampler. So there's no messing around. There's no guessing on color. I mean, they try to be, Marcia tries to be very accurate to what the girl would have stitched. And you can tell those ones they stitched were very bright and cheery. They weren't dull and faded like the ones that we like now. So the next one, which I really like this border. I mean, there's a lot I like about this, but this is Plum Street Samplers, A Shepherd's Song. And every once in a while, this one really calls to me. I love a three-sided border also, one that doesn't go all the way around. And I think this is another one where you look at it and you see the house. You don't always see the border, but stitched up, this border is pretty good. And I do have, this isn't even a project bag. This is the bag that the pattern came in. But I do have most of the colors, I think. I don't have the DMCs in there yet, just the overdyes. So I can start that one at any time. I've been starting way too much stuff. It's ridiculous. The only thing is, I figure if I start it, it will get finished. It's very rare that I start something and give up on it. Very rare. So at some point, even though they're small starts, and I caught a case of the Laura's, they will get done. Just with so little time, I just keep wanting to start stuff. This one, so it's an older chart. So many people have done it. And I think that what gets people about this one is definitely the border. And this is Martha Pudsey, 1835. People have talked about it looking like Christmas lights or lollipops. The whole thing, this whole chart is fantastic. It's got these little baskets. I can't move my hand. These little baskets here kind of remind me of, oh shoot. See, now I'm not going to remember. She has another chart. Sarah Redfern has some baskets like that on her sampler. Now this one Tanya charted in Vintage Autumn Gold by Lakeside. This one, the reason I haven't started it, I have all the silk. I have the silk for it. Okay, first of all, Lakeside's hard to get, of course. It's a very golden color. I've seen on social media where some people have started it on a light linen. I actually really like it. And so I debate. I like the Vintage Autumn Gold as well. This is one where I might do a special, I might create a color for this one. Just so when I get ready to stitch it, and then it may just be added to my repertoire. But since I can't get Vintage Autumn Gold, this could be one I create a color for. I'm not sure. So that's what has always made me not start this one, is just not knowing the fabric I'm going to use for it. I think I can get through this. Okay. I've shown this before, but I said Teresa Kogut. The borders are unreal. So her stuff's original. It's not reproductions. But there's so much interest and so much color. They're just amazing borders. And they're all very different. They don't seem to really repeat themselves. But Cotswold Fields, this is actually the first Teresa Kogut chart I bought. But look, she's got foxes, flowers, beavers, raccoons. That would not be a boring border to stitch at all. You know, they're almost like motifs, but it is a border. Those red flowers in the corner, the animal. I mean, this is fantastic. I've shown, you know, I've recently started acquiring her charts. Only because, and I think she might have said on her Flosstube, or maybe she posted on social media. So I loved her stitching and I loved her patterns, but there was so much fill-in and just a lot of stitching that I never really bought them because I thought, am I really gonna, probably not gonna spend the time. I'd rather buy her art print, right? Since she's kind of dipped into samplers, her stuff, you know, there's a lot of stuff. There's quite a few patterns I don't have that I would like to get, but I'm much more likely to stitch her original samplers. Land That I Love, I'm definitely starting this summer, but this is right up there. I mean, her stuff has always been gorgeous, but now that she's got the samplers, I'm into it. Okay, so I've got two more designers I'm going to show. Hopefully I can get through it. Of course, I couldn't do this without talking about Hands Across the Sea, my #1 all-time favorite designer. And some of these I may have shown on my Hands Across the Sea, but they're just sort of different kinds of borders. Okay, so Ann Roberts, I think one of the things that draws you into Ann Roberts is that border. And I know when there was a stitch along, quite a few people talked about really enjoying doing this border. It's kind of heavy stitching, but there's a lot of fill-in, and I think that's part of what gives this sampler its wow factor, for sure. So that's one where I think there's a lot more stitching in it than you realize. It's not a huge sampler, but Hands Across the Sea is heavy, even their small stuff. It's pretty heavy stitching. They only have a couple that aren't. Another border that really, this is what, the border is what draws me in on this one. Mary Locke. Okay, it's a beautiful sampler, but all of those flowers have satin stitches in the centers, and I love doing satin stitch. It's just pretty. But I love this border. It's very kind of casual, little childlike, happy colors. It's very pretty. So Mary Locke, that is a Hands Across the Sea that I gotta get stranded on that desert island soon, because that's the only way I can get this stuff done, is if somebody take me on a boat. Let's get near that desert island. I told you before, I think Laura talked about prison stitching. I don't want to do prison stitching, quite honestly. I mean, I'll do desert island stitching. That sounds like a good time. And of course, I'll have all my Hands Across the Sea with me. Marianne Bourne's, this is the first one they reproduced, and there's a lot about this sampler that is amazing. You know, the B-skep draws you in, but look at that border. I mean, goodness gracious. That's a great border. That is a great border. Oh. Okay. God, I think I showed a lot of these. We're just going to go through them real quick. This one is, the border is really part of what gets me. Elizabeth Bevan, 1835. I think this is Scottish, but it is, well, the house, you know, that little, like, it looks like a maple sugar house. But the border is all these little critters and animals and people, and very interesting. Lots of color changes, but I'm going to zoom in here. Look at that. Look at that little girl. And birds. This girl loved animals. This is gorgeous. Okay, now this one's not on my to-do list anytime soon, but the border is what pops on this one, and it's Jane Jackson. It's a newer, they release like every 2 seconds. Now, I haven't looked at social media because I was working this morning and now I'm doing the video, but I did order Queen of the May, was at the distributor this morning, and so I'm assuming Nicola will have her video on it, and it is fabulous. Queen of the May, coming out this weekend. Fantastic. Okay, so this is, what did I say, Jane Jackson? It's the border on this one, really. The border is just the wow factor on that sampler. And that looks like a lot of stitching. A lot of heavy stitching. That one's not on my short list, but it's on my, you know, there's very few that's not on my list to do. This is a Scottish one. You wouldn't think that I would pull this one. Helen Kedsley, 1815. This is an older one. Now, I haven't seen it in person, do this, but I've seen on social media a few people stitch this, not a ton, and those flowers really do pop. It's kind of like there's not a ton of color in the middle, but it's this red, you know, almost magenta-y colored border, and I think that's what makes this sampler almost. I mean, the house and the trees are pretty great, but just that border gave it the color that kind of gives this the wow factor, and that's Helen Kedsley. Just a few more. I'm already at an hour and a half. Okay, Jane Bannister. You can't mention Hands Across the Sea and Borders without Jane Bannister. It is a Welsh sampler. And this one, it's another one, if you look it up, the hashtag on Instagram, there's some beautiful stitches of this. And it's just, I'm going to go in on the border. It's a floral border. This one would be stitch heavy. The colors in this are fantastic though. That's a good one. This one, ooh. Someone right now is stitching this on Hemingway, on Needle and Flax Linen. Again, go on Instagram. Elizabeth Weston. When this came out at Market, I about pooped myself. I don't know how to say this. I died. I love this one. And this border reminds me a bit, Elizabeth Weston, a little bit of that antique that I have. Right? That type of border right there. It's very similar to the antique I have. The border is. It's very pink, but I think, look at that there's checkerboard. There's all the things I love. And it's big, but I don't think you have to be a pink lover. You should go look on those darker linens like Hemingway. It kind of changes it from being very girly and pink to just very classic and pretty. So sometimes I think maybe the linen you choose can really change the vibe if you're not like a pink person. So I've got three, okay. One's a giveaway. I'm going to give away a chart. So I've got a couple of cross stitch antiques. Kathleen has some charts with some gorgeous borders. This one, this is one of them. The Child's Petition, 1845. This is an Irish sampler. Okay, and it's just these beautiful flowers. Beautiful. With a verse in the middle, and the verse is not over 1. Bonus for those of you that don't like over 1. Okay, so that one's gorgeous. This one is Sarah Williams, Hollyhead. This is a Welsh sampler. I love the border on this one. This looks like a photo of the antique, which was in great shape. I'm pretty sure because it's got some missing stitches on it. So I'm pretty sure that's the antique. Look at that border. You've got 2 different kinds of flowers. Lots of red. It's just beautiful. So the last one I'm going to show is a giveaway because as I was going through my charts, I have 2 of these. So comment in, put in the YouTube comments down below, write Headmaster if you want this chart, and I will do a random draw and send it out. I'll send it out quickly. This is called Of Female Arts, and this is part of her Headmaster Sampler series. And I wasn't going to necessarily pull this for the border, but look at that. It's a long, skinny sampler, but you've got these floral parts at the top and the bottom and a different border on the sides. This is beautiful. This is definitely one of those ones. This one looks like it's probably the stitched model. Headmaster Sampler Series. So use the word Headmaster because that's what I will search for if you want a copy of this. If you haven't done cross stitch antique charts, they're beautiful. They are, she does a phenomenal job charting. They're black and white, they're not color. I don't know if that matters to any of you, but some people it does. So yeah, this is a beautiful sampler. It's not really on my short list to do, but Kathleen has a lot of good samplers, and I have quite a few. Not all, but quite a few of them. And I'd like to stitch. I'm only stitching one right now, and it's just a start, but there's a lot of hers that I would like to stitch. So that is it. This is definitely my longest video I've ever done because I had to do so much shop updating, and I apologize for that if you didn't really give 2 hoots about it, but I had to do it. There's so much going on. The wait is so long. I want to let you know that you'll get your linen. The wait could get longer. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm just trying to communicate and keep the line of communication open. Email me if you have questions. You know, I have been missing a few. I know I've missed a few emails because I've seen them come through on my phone. And then when I've gone back, when I've gotten a chance to get on the computer, they're just, I get so many emails a day, it's mind-boggling. So if I haven't answered you on something really important, or if you're a shop and you wanted to set up an account and I didn't get back to you, reach out again because I do miss some. So other than that, I try to be pretty good. So that's it. So next Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern, get on YouTube because I will be on here live, and we'll do a little stitching in the house coats. I will wear some sort of pajama house coat. And then basically you're seeing me once a week you've been seeing me once a week, which it's good because these videos would be like 8 hours long if I wasn't showing up very often. So that's it. I'm going to get to the post office, get some more postage done, hopefully get some linen started tonight. And that's it. So I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend, good weather or relaxing time, stitching time, spring cleaning time, whatever you're doing. And I will see you all next Saturday night. Get on my Instagram because I will be updating through the week and sending reminders and maybe even doing some Instagram stories during the week. So I will talk to you all later. Bye.